They said it was just a joke, but Archangel Michael read their energy, and what he found was anything but funny. The night before the full moon, the heavens trembled, not in chaos, but in holy recognition. A shift echoed through the realm where eyes cannot see and ears cannot hear, yet spirits sense and awaken. A ripple moved silently through the corridors of the divine, and it was no accident. On earth, a moment passed, a comment was made, followed by laughter. It was labeled harmless, brushed aside as just a joke. But in the spirit, the sound rang differently. It struck a chord not of viewer, but of dishonor. And the realm of light took notice. Archangel Michael descended, not in wrath, but in divine alert. He did not come wielding judgment, but truth. He did not draw his sword in fury, but in discernment. For what was spoken that night, though veiled in jest, bore the stench of manipulation, of mockery masked in mirth. And heaven cannot ignore what the awakened cannot unfeel. You who heard it, you who felt the sting behind the smile, you were not imagining it. You were not too sensitive. You were not paranoid. You were perceptive. And heaven confirms it now. That moment wasn't for everyone. That moment was a signal for the chosen, for the called, for the spiritually alert. That laugh, it wasn't innocent. That comment, it wasn't neutral. There was a spirit behind it. A dark whisper clothed in chuckles. A curse cloaked in comedy. To some, it was just a passing moment, a fleeting joke. But to you, it stirred unrest. It unsettled something deeper. And now you know why. Because your spirit does not lie. Because your calling attracts counterfeit comforters. Because your presence, yes, your presence, provokes the unresolved, the unrepentant, the unseen manipulators. And they hide it behind humor. But heaven sees beyond the smile. This message isn't for the masses. It's for the few who felt the shift. For the ones who went home that night replaying the moment, wondering, why did that hit so hard? It's because it wasn't just a joke. It was an announcement in the spirit realm. And now the truth is being revealed. So before you react, before you clap back, before you silence your spirit with self-doubt, still yourself. This is not coincidence. This is sacred disclosure. This is a divine report. Archangel Michael has come, not to punish you, but to protect. Not to shame, but to separate truth from deception. You are not crazy. You are not alone. You are being shown what most ignore. You are awake in a time when many choose sleep. And now you must listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. Within the next 48 hours, says Michael, you'll see what was veiled. Hear now, beloved. Listen not with your flesh, but with your fire. Listen not with your ears, but with your eternity. For this is not merely a message, it is a summons, a divine interruption, a spiritual unmasking. The hour is no longer distant. The veil is lifting. The moment is now. There was a sound that passed through the atmosphere recently, and didn't shout. It didn't roar, but it pierced. It cut through realms. It stirred angels into alert. A joke, they said. A laugh, they claimed. But heaven, oh heaven, listen beyond the volume. Heaven listened beneath the laughter. And what was found with anything but funny? Archangel Michael stands in authority, not over your enemies, but over the moment itself. He hovers above the replay of that instant when words were twisted to seem playful, yet their roots slithered with venom. Michael speaks, not as a warning, but as a warrior. Not to frighten, but to free. Within the next 48 hours, he declares, you'll see what was hidden beneath the humor. The mask will slip. The disguise will decay. And truth, radiant and unrelenting, will rise like the noonday sun. Child of light, be not deceived. The heavens do not dismiss mockery simply because it wears a smile. The chords of God are not swayed by tone or timing. They are moved by intent, by spirit, by the residue left in your heart after someone else's laughter dies away. Heaven recorded it, not because they wish to condemn them, but because they seek to confirm you. You saw it. You sensed it. You stood still when your flesh wanted to join in. You recoiled internally, even if your face smiled outwardly. And now, the Spirit says, we saw it too. You are not the problem. You are the radar. You are not weak for feeling strange afterward. You are spiritually wired. That moment pierced something sacred in you, and heaven honored it. That is why Michael is speaking now. Because silence is no longer a safe place. Silence is now obedience to unspoken tyranny. Silence allows mockery to masquerade as maturity, and the Spirit will no longer let it pass unchecked. Some will say you're dramatic. Some will say you're overthinking. Some will say it's just a joke. But the loudest laughers often carry the deepest malice. The ones who pretend to jest are often the ones who long to diminish, to downplay, to dilute, to demote. But the Spirit says you will not be dismissed this time. Your discernment will be validated. Your sensitivity is not shame, it is your sword. The heavens are aligning for revelation. The next 48 hours carry weight. For someone reading this, it will not be loud. It will not be scandalous. It will be subtle, but striking. A comment in passing. A glance. A smirk. A whisper you weren't meant to hear. And in that moment, heaven will whisper, there. That is the truth revealed. You will not be confused. You will not question your perception this time. You will know. Because your spirit has already borne witness. What you're about to see is what you already sensed. Confirmation is coming, not for confrontation's sake, but for clarity's. And with that clarity will come a fresh instruction. Michael stands ready, not because the war is about to begin, but because the truth is about to break open. And the sword of truth does not cut flesh, it cuts illusion. It divides spirit from falsehood. It exposes what manipulation tried to dress up as banter. And it confirms you, the chosen, as one who sees what others only laugh at. Do not apologize for being alert. Do not drink for seeing too much. You were not made for shallow conversations or hidden jabs. You were designed to disrupt atmospheres. Your presence alone is uncomfortable for those who wear masks. And they sense it. That's why they tried to cloak their intent in laughter. But laughter can't conceal what the Spirit reveals. This is not just a joke. This is a moment of unveiling. This is a call to awaken. You are not here by accident. You are reading this because heaven has a message tailor-made for your timeline, your trauma, your testimony. So rise, not in anger but in awareness, not in panic but in prophecy. Heaven speaks through stillness. Michael speaks through revelation. And the next 48 hours will speak for themselves. Type I am chosen in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. They laughed, didn't they? They laughed like nothing sacred had been touched. They laughed like their words were just passing clouds, harmless, weightless, meaningless. They laughed, and others joined. And maybe you did too. Maybe your lips curled into a smile. Maybe your throat echoed a chuckle. But your soul didn't laugh. Your spirit didn't agree. Something in you flinched. Something in you folded in discomfort, though you masked it with stillness. You told yourself, it's just a joke, didn't you? But heaven didn't call it a joke. Heaven called it a disturbance. Archangel Michael reveals this now. What you felt in that moment was spiritual friction. What they spoke casually, you received prophetically. And that is no accident. That is no overreaction. That is divine training. Heaven was watching, not the joke itself, but your internal reaction to it. The way your joy dimmed. The way your energy sank. The way your body stayed in the room, but your spirit pulled away. It didn't feel like a joke to you, because it wasn't meant to. You see, when mockery is disguised as humor, it carries an assignment. The enemy loves to use levity to smuggle in toxicity. He'll slide sarcasm across the room like a dagger coated in sugar. But those with awakened spirits, they feel the blade, even when no one else does. That's what happened to you. They mocked and called it light-hearted. But the eyes, they gave it away, didn't they? The eyes weren't light. The tone wasn't soft. The moment wasn't pure. Behind the smirk was something sour. Behind the laughter, something lurked. And you felt it. Even if you couldn't name it, even if you couldn't explain it, you felt it. Heaven is affirming that right now. That unease. That chill that washed over you after. That moment of emotional confusion. That wasn't weakness. That was discernment. That was your soul registering spiritual sabotage. It was your intuition going off like an alarm in the night. And here's the truth most won't say. It wasn't just about the words. It was about the timing, the setting, the energy. It was designed to throw you off course, to get you second-guessing yourself, to make you doubt your belonging, your boldness, your calling. Because when you carry something heavy from heaven, the world around you often tries to lighten you up, not with peace, but with passive aggression disguised as playfulness. And that day, it cracked something open. That moment became an echo. You heard it again in your head again and again. It haunted you softly, repeating in quiet rooms and silent rides home. You tried to ignore it, tried to move on. But the spirit would not let it rest. Because heaven wanted you to notice. Because heaven was showing you something behind the veil of comedy. They called it lighthearted, but their energy screamed something else. You weren't imagining the deceit. You weren't reaching. You were reading. You were reading their spirit, their intent, their jealousy, their unresolved bitterness. You were decoding the data behind the delivery. And now, Archangel Michael is revealing the deeper layer. Someone else was watching too. Someone not of flesh. Someone who observed your restraint, your silence, your moment of holding your tongue. And that someone was God. The Most High watched how you handled dishonor. And the heavens took record of your pain. You didn't lash out. You didn't match their mockery. You sat with the storm inside you. And now the storm has spoken. The atmosphere is shifting, and the joke is being called what it truly was, an assignment cloaked in laughter. You were marked that day, not by their words, but by your response. This is the moment heaven says we've seen enough. And now, what was twisted in the dark is being straightened in the light. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks. with contributions of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Subscribe to our channel for spiritual insights, regular updates, and prophetic revelations that empower your journey forward. Type I am covered in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1313 is now flowing into your timeline. And I'll let the truth be unveiled, not in panic, but in prophecy. You were tested in that moment, not by them, but by heaven. It wasn't about their words. It wasn't about the smirk, or the eyes, or even the laughter. It was about the atmosphere it created around you. The way your soul reacted. The way the room shifted subtly, spiritually. It was a divine stage set for spiritual detection. The Spirit speaks now. The joke wasn't the danger. It was the spirit behind it. It was a spiritual trap. Subtle, smiling, and socially acceptable. And this is where many fall. This is where discernment is drowned in politeness. This is where anointed ones become afraid of being too sensitive. But the truth is, you are not overly sensitive. You are spiritually sensitive. You are awake in a realm where many still sleep. This was spiritual warfare dressed up in laughter. A moment engineered to cloak itself in innocence, while carrying the weight of accusation. The enemy is cunning. He knows he can destroy your calling head-on. So he tries to chip away at it through micro-assaults, sarcastic barbs, shady remarks, condescending humor. Michael declares, your calling disrupts their comfort. Your presence shakes their complacency. Your very existence reveals their lack of growth. And that is why they joke. That is why they poke. That is why they try to turn your radiance into a punchline. But heaven says, what they thought was funny is being archived in eternity. Every mocking word was a spiritual boomerang. Every sarcastic remark was a reflection of their own spiritual discomfort. You were not being attacked. You were being revealed. The joke wasn't just a joke. It was a litmus test. It exposed who carries what. And now that it's been revealed, you must not internalize it. You must interpret it. You must see the truth behind the timing. You must discern the spirit behind the laughter. This was not your weakness. This was your anointing confirming itself. Michael stands by to guard what has been unveiled. You were not made for shallow waters. You were made to carry revelation. You are a vessel of clarity. And clarity costs. It costs comfort. It costs popularity. It costs the illusion of agreement. But clarity is protection. And in that moment, you were being trained to trust what you sense even when the world tells you to laugh. They wanted you to shrink, but you stood. They wanted you to doubt, but you discerned. And heaven took note. So don't replay the moment with regret. Replay it with revelation. That wasn't an insult. That was insight. That wasn't humiliation. That was holy intelligence. God used their joke to draw the line between your calling and their comfort zone. This wasn't just mockery. This was momentum. It was the confirmation you needed. And now you know what spirit they carry. Now you know what environment you've outgrown. And now you know why heaven has been pulling you away from certain circles. You don't belong in rooms that laugh at what God is raising in you. You don't belong around people who joke about what heaven is serious about. This was never about a joke. It was about your journey. Type I am untouchable in the comments if you feel this word. Blessing code 4545 has been assigned to your situation. Within the next 72 hours, something will rise again, not in the form of thunder, but in whispers. Not as a violent storm, but as a familiar pattern. And Archangel Michael sends this warning in love, but not without urgency. He says, "What once came cloaked in laughter will attempt to return, and this time it will seek to strike deeper." This is not paranoia. This is preparation. The same spirit that moved behind the joke is rehearsing its next performance. The enemy does not abandon what almost worked. He refines it. And right now, somewhere in private, there is a conversation happening without your presence but targeting your purpose. A plan is being shaped behind smiles. A new opportunity to test your restraint is being carved, disguised as humor. Again, they are preparing the scene. This time, it will come in a room you've grown comfortable in. This time, the words may sound lighter. The tone may seem playful, but the eyes will betray them again. The energy will not lie. And heaven says, do not confront it yet. Observe and prepare. For the confrontation is not yours. It belongs to the Spirit of Truth. Pay attention. Watch the room. Watch the timing. A smirk will come before the sentence. The fake lightness in their voice will precede the strike. They may even include others this time, laughing louder, hoping the volume of mockery drowns out the weight of what is really being done. But your discernment is sharper now. You have been trained in silence. You have been awakened through tension. You are no longer the unsuspecting one in the room. Heaven's instruction is clear. This is not your moment to correct, but to collect. Collect evidence. Collect wisdom. Collect insight. There is power in your pause. There is warfare in your stillness. The enemy expects your reaction, but heaven is instructing your restraint, because something greater is at play. You see, when the mocking returns, it will carry a test inside it, whether you will defend your ego or protect your elevation, whether you will speak to be heard or stay silent to be moved. Michael says, let no part of your calling be lured into a clown's theater. Let no sacred oil be spilled on a stage set up to entertain the spiritually asleep. This is spiritual sabotage wrapped in casual comedy. And it's not random. It's targeted. Because your rise is unsettling forces. Because your awakening disturbs systems built on silence. Because your very presence reminds them of what they chose not to become. And rather than confront themselves, they mock you. But here is your assurance. Heaven has already surrounded you. There are angels stationed not to stop the mockery, but to reveal its source. Michael's sword is not drawn in panic. It is drawn in precision. He is not moving in haste. He is moving in holiness. And when the strike comes, when the next joke is whispered, a divine interruption will arrive. Something will shift in the room. Someone will suddenly go silent. A phone will ring. A door will open. Heaven will interrupt the performance. Because God will not let you be humiliated in the name of humor again. And after that moment, doors will begin to shut. Connections will begin to dry. Not because you failed, but because heaven severed what was draining your discernment. Some people's access to you was only permitted until the mocking returned. Now that it's here, separation has begun. This is your call to stay spiritually sober. Not afraid but aware. Not anxious but armored. The sword of Michael is ready, not to harm, but to defend the truth that resides in you. You are not here to entertain darkness. You are here to expose it by simply existing in the fullness of your light. Within 72 hours, the second attempt will come. Let it. Do not fear it. Recognize it, and let your silence be your sword. Type "I am hidden" in God in the comments if this word aligns with your spirit. Blessing code 7755 now guards your next steps. Be still now, says Michael. Don't defend, discern. For the battlefield you stand on is not one of shouting, but sensing. This war is not one with loud words. It is one with holy stillness. Your first defense is not your voice. It is your silence, sharpened by discernment and sealed in prayer. You felt it already, haven't you? That pull to explain. That ache to defend your name. That urge to make them understand. But Michael urges you, don't. This is not the season for defense. This is the hour for divine strategy. The more you speak, the more they twist. The more you reveal, the more they distort. But your silence is confusing their scripts. Your peace is exposing their pretense. Your lack of reaction is unraveling their illusion. This is spiritual protocol. Do not clap back. Do not match the mockery. Do not allow the enemy to bait you into a battle beneath your assignment. Every time you stay silent in the spirit, you grow louder in the supernatural. Every time you decline the invitation to respond, you send a signal to the heavens. I trust you more than I trust my emotions. So be still. Avast, not just from food but from gossip. From worry. From needing to be understood. Anoint your thoughts. Anoint your phones. Anoint the doors of your conversations. Saturate your atmosphere in worship. Turn your text messages into prayer points. The mocking spirit fears exposure, and every time you turn to God instead of retaliation, you shine a spotlight on the darkness it tried to hide in. Speak only when heaven gives you utterance. Speak only when the spirit moves, not when your emotions boil. That's not weakness. That's power. That's prophetic maturity. That's wisdom forged in fire. The enemy wants your energy. The mocker wants your attention. Don't give them what they didn't earn. Give them silence, and watch how it shakes them. Affirm daily, I am covered, protected, unbothered. Say it aloud. Say it with authority. Let your atmosphere hear you. Let the air around your room know you are no longer accessible to every attack. You are hidden. You are held. You are under heaven's surveillance. You are protected by the one who never sleeps. Archangel Michael reminds you, heaven surrounds those who do not clap back. Heaven favors those who protect their peace. Heaven promotes those who steward their silence. You are not passive. You are postured. You are not retreating. You are receiving instructions. Every moment of stillness is building a divine response that no human strategy can dismantle. This is not just spiritual warfare. This is spiritual government. You are being trained to reign. And rulers do not explain themselves to jesters. So remain hidden. Remain peaceful. Remain grounded in God. While they plot their next performance, you prepare your next prayer. While they gather audiences, you gather angels. While they sharpen sarcasm, you sharpen your spirit. They won't understand your silence. And that's the point. Because this time, your stillness will speak louder than their slander. Type I am covered in light in the comments if you receive this prophetic word. Blessing code 3030 now shields your emotions and energy. You are not who they laughed at, not anymore. What they mocked was a previous version of you, a version God allowed them to see because your full transformation was still cocooned in silence. But that moment, the one they tried to reduce to comedy, was your fire. And no, it did not consume you. It refined you. It did not break you. It broke off the remaining ties to what no longer belonged around your destiny. You walked through it, unburned, unbothered, and now unchained. Listen closely, for this is not just a motivational word. It is divine declaration. You've been transformed by the very thing that was meant to humiliate you. What was intended as mockery, God has used as momentum. What they used to diminish you, heaven used to define you. They thought they were laughing at weakness, but they were witnessing your transition. Their joke became your unveiling. Their smirk signaled your shift. Let them underestimate. Let them misread your stillness. Let them mistake your silence for surrender, because it's all divine camouflage. While they thought you were shrinking, heaven was shaping. While they thought you were sulking, heaven was sealing you in strength. You are not less than them. You are set apart from them. And in that separation, God is amplifying your presence, quietly, strategically, completely. You don't need to announce what God is doing. You don't need to clarify, explain, or defend your glow up. Your glow is not their business. Your healing is not their headline. Your rising is not their permission slip. You are ascending beyond the realm of their jokes, their whispers, and their commentary. This is the hour where heaven whispers your name into rooms you've never entered. This is the time where your silence echoes louder than their sarcasm. This is the moment where your wings, grown in isolation, finally stretch into visibility. And hear this clearly. You are not alone. Heaven is walking with you. Angels are assigned to your movement. Michael is not simply watching. He's warring. Not with anger, but with precision. His sword is drawn, not just to defend, but to declare that your time has come. The time for second-guessing is over. The time for shrinking back is over. You are no longer a reaction. You are a revelation. You are no longer apologizing for your light. You are walking unapologetically into the glory God has prepared. That yoke, it couldn't break you because your identity is no longer fragile. That laughter, it couldn't bind you because your purpose is no longer buried. That moment, it didn't disqualify you. It certified you. You stood still in the face of dishonor, and heaven counted it as strength. You chose grace over retaliation, and the Spirit recorded it as growth. You forgave without access, and God honored it as royalty. What they mocked will soon be what they marvel at. Yes, let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. But you keep rising. Because this rise isn't flashy, it's faithful. It's rooted in prayer. It's anchored in obedience. It's guarded by discernment. You've earned the anointing on your life through battle-tested silence. You've earned your wings through nights of questioning, mornings of resilience, and days of sacred discipline. You are not bitter. You are better. You are not hiding. You are being hidden for impact, for influence, for inheritance. Your movement is divine. Your upgrade is irreversible. Your glory is heaven sent. And while they rehearse jokes, God rehearses justice. While they dwell in comfort, you dwell under covering. While they laugh, you ascend. Because heaven always gets the last word. And your next chapter is being written in favor, not retaliation. Type "I am rising" in the comments if this word touches your spirit. Blessing code 8181 is breathing new strength into your walk. Archangel Michael speaks now, and his voice carries the thunder of truth. They mocked what they couldn't decode. They laughed because they lacked spiritual language for what you carry. Understand this deeply. Your presence has always spoken in a tone higher than their understanding. And rather than ask, they mocked. Rather than humble themselves, they joked. It was never about you. It was about the mystery within you that they couldn't comprehend. A joke. That was the moment of exposure. What was meant to humiliate was actually prophetic proof. A laughter. It was the sound of resistance crashing into the glory inside of you. You didn't just survive their mockery, you transcended it. Because what they saw as comedic, heaven saw as catalytic. Every laugh carved the crown deeper. Every insult shaped the oil more precisely. Every dismissal paved the road for your divine distinction. And now, you are entering the season of unveiling. This is not just your recovery, this is your rise. This is not just a reversal of pain. This is a promotion through prophecy. The things they whispered about you are being rewritten in the heavens as declarations. The room that once tolerated you will soon have to honor you, because the glory you carry can no longer be dimmed. It is time. The heavens have sounded the alarm. Your silence has graduated. Your restraint has qualified you. Your obedience has become your open door. Michael says, the heavens watched your restraint, and now reward follows. This isn't just favor, it's payback. This isn't just opportunity, it's overtake. You're not stepping into rooms timidly. You're being summoned into spaces that your pain prepared you for. Your silence made room for the sound of heaven's voice to echo through you. And now that voice is declaring, you've been marked for elevation, and it begins now. Don't look for applause. Don't search for validation. Those who laughed won't clap, and they won't admit what they saw. But it doesn't matter, because heaven's approval overrides their denial. Because God's promotion isn't based on consensus, it's based on covenant. You're not just being elevated in the natural, you're being escorted in the spiritual. Angels are paving paths. Hidden allies are being activated. Closed doors are opening, not because you knocked louder, but because you waited longer. And in a waiting, you were changed. You no longer flinch when they laugh. You no longer doubt when they speak. You no longer pause when they stare. Because now you know. They mocked the part of you they couldn't manipulate. They laughed at the light they couldn't contain. They tried to shrink what God was expanding. And heaven let them speak, so that heaven could reverse it all in front of their faces. You will walk past the very ones who laughed, and they won't recognize you. Because the version of you they joked about has been buried in breakthrough. You are resurrected. You are revealed. You are ready. This is not ego. This is evidence. This is not pride. This is prophecy fulfilled. You waited. You wept. You worship. And now you win. If this message confirms what you've been sensing in your spirit, consider giving a super chat or a super thanks. Contributions of $10 go a long way in helping us bring more prophetic content your way. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the support here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for exclusive prophetic teachings, divine updates, and Holy Spirit-led insight delivered directly to your spiritual journey. Type I am unveiled in the comments if this word speaks your truth. Blessing code 9999 now prepares your path of favor. Declare it now. I am not what they said. I am what God says. Speak it with power. Let the atmosphere tremble with the certainty of your voice. Heaven responds to bold agreement. Destiny responds to fearless declarations. And your mouth, yes, your mouth, is a key in this moment. There is power in your proclamation. There is movement in your agreement. There is breakthrough in your belief. You are not here to play small anymore. You are not here to adjust your identity to fit their insecurities. You are here to activate your assignment. You see, when they mocked you, it wasn't personal. It was prophetic. They didn't even understand what they were reacting to. They weren't laughing at your weakness. They were reacting to your weight. The spiritual weight you carry unsettles shallow spirits. The mantle upon you intimidates what pretends to be confident. And when people lack the language to name your oil, they will reduce it to comedy. But heaven never misnames what it crowns. God's word over your life is the only definition that holds eternal authority. Speak into the atmosphere. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Say it again and let your bones believe it. And a weapon. Not sarcasm. Not manipulation. Not betrayal. Not laughter. Not lies. Not sabotage. Not delay. And a weapon. Because the weapons may form, but they cannot finish. They cannot break through a destiny sealed in the blood of the Lamb. You are divinely bulletproof. You are spiritually shielded. You are destined protected. And now is the time for action. Not reactive action, but revelatory action. Don't move based on what they said. Move based on what God is saying. Align your next step with divine instruction. Not emotion. Not impulse. Not opinion. Emotion is fleeting. Instruction is foundational. Your next level doesn't require public defense. It requires private obedience. So when the Spirit whispers, apply here, do it. When heaven says, close that door, shut it. When the voice of God says, speak, then speak. But when he says, be silent, then you rest in that silence like it's a fortress. Because it is. Faith without works is silence, and silence without strategy becomes stagnation. You are not meant to sit in stillness without movement. You are not meant to absorb insult and do nothing. You are meant to build. You are meant to move. You are meant to obey the rhythm of divine momentum. Every step now matters. Every choice is a confirmation of the covenant God has placed over your life. You are not just walking. You are building legacy with every footstep. You are no longer hiding. You are becoming. The butterfly doesn't apologize to the cocoon. The eagle doesn't shrink back for the comfort of the nest. And you, child of fire, carrier of glory, you do not belong in rooms that ask you to tone it down for the sake of fragile egos. Your presence is a divine announcement. Your growth is a thunderclap in the spirit. Your elevation is a prophetic act. You've graduated from merely surviving to spiritually leading. You are no longer seeking validation. You are carrying visitation. Heaven visits you. Wisdom flows through you. Favor follows you. And with every joke they told, with every smirk they offered, they unknowingly triggered your upgrade. Your laughter was a final test, and you passed. With silence, with poise, with discernment, with grace. And now, stand in full agreement. Speak over yourself daily. Anoint your day with affirmations grounded in Scripture and bold with faith. You are not who they said you were. You are what God chose you to be. And the choosing cannot be undone by mocking voices or shallow taunts. This is your activation moment. What heaven whispered to you in the dark will now be shouted through your life in the light. Type I am becoming in the comments if your destiny is unfolding now. Blessing code 1441 is igniting your divine steps. Last night, while you slept, something sacred happened. Not in your room, but in the realm beyond time. Not in a dream, but in divine dimensions. While your body rested, your spirit remained in motion. There was an exchange, a divine transaction in the unseen, and it changed everything. The angels were not idle. The heavens were not quiet. A silent courtroom gathered. Archangel Michael stood to present your case, not as a victim, but as a vessel. He laid out every tear, every swallowed word, every moment of restraint, every bruise left by laughter, every weight you carried in silence. Heaven reviewed it all, and the verdict was unanimous. Restoration must be released. Favor must be activated. Honor must return. There was a barter in the spirit realm. Your pain was placed on the altar, and in return, heaven released new oil. The humiliation you felt from that joke became currency. The discomfort, the spiritual ache, the invisible shaking of your identity, God took all of it and exchanged it for favor. You thought it was just an insult, but it was actually the seed of intercession. Michael caught the moment. The spirit realm registered the wound, and God moved. You've been restless not because you're overthinking, but because your spirit felt the shift. Something happened beyond the physical. Your soul remembers what your mind can't process. That unease, that twitch in your atmosphere, that sudden clarity, it's the residue of a holy transaction. And now, things are realigning. What they thought was harmless is now heaven's leverage. What they dismissed as a joke is now the evidence heaven uses to release justice in your favor. Archangel Michael didn't just observe. He intervened. He caught the arrow mid-flight. He absorbed the mockery in the realm of spirit and rewrote his purpose. The insult did not land. It was intercepted and transformed. And you didn't even have to fight. You just had to endure. You just had to remain righteous in the face of ridicule. You just had to stay still while the Spirit waged war on your behalf. This is why the last few days have felt intense. This is why your emotions have fluctuated without clear cause. Your spirit has been negotiating destiny. The mocking triggered acceleration. The insult summoned angelic intercession. And now you stand on the edge of divine reversal. There is glory on the other side of this insult. There is favor coming, cloaked in unexpected opportunity. There is honor returning in ways you never asked for. The very people who thought they were clever with their shade will witness your ascension without understanding your process. Because your vindication is spiritual, your breakthrough is supernatural, and your rising is silent but unstoppable. Let them keep laughing. Let them keep watching. Heaven is working. And you are no longer bound to their words. You are attached to a divine word that overrides every lie, every jab, every smear. The courtroom of heaven has ruled in your favor. Your silence testified. Your tears witnessed. Your pain pleaded. And now, heaven responds. Your next breakthrough is not delayed. It is dispatched. It is already in motion. What felt like a joke to them was a trigger in the spirit realm. And now, everything has changed. Type I receive the exchange in the comments if your spirit bears witness. Blessing code 2233 has finalized your heavenly transaction. Adieu. It returns to them now, multiplied. Not by your hands, but by heaven's hands. Not by your anger, but by divine ordinance. For the laws of the Spirit are clear, eternal, and exact. What a person sows, that shall they also reap. And what they sowed in sarcasm, what they planted in jest, what they watered in whispers, they are now reaping in disruption. You did curse them. You didn't wish harm. You simply stood in righteousness. And the heavens responded with justice, not vengeance. With order, not chaos. They laughed, and that laugh echoed in the spirit. It pierced through dimensions and violated honor. It wasn't just noise. It was a vibration of dishonor. It was a sound heaven would not let pass, because it touched someone anointed, because it mocked something sacred, because it attempted to reduce what God had refined. And now, what was released in mockery is returning in mirrors, reflections of their own insecurity, now staring back at them through consequences. Let this be clear. You won't need to explain yourself. You won't need to defend your name. You won't need to replay the offense or revisit the moment. Because when heaven steps in, no man can stand against it. When God enforces justice, explanations become irrelevant. The same mouths that laughed will be silenced, not by embarrassment, but by awe. Because what they thought was funny will now fund your breakthrough. What they said in jest will now fuel your ascension. Every sarcastic line becomes a line in heaven's ledger. Every smirk becomes a record in God's scroll. You are being elevated, not in revenge but in revelation. Archangel Michael now declares, the reversal is upon you. Everything they tried to delay is now accelerating. Everything they tried to block is now breaking open. The path that was once obstructed is now anointed. The favor that was once hindered is now flowing. Because your test wasn't just silence, it was surrender. You surrendered your need for retaliation. You surrendered your desire to clap back. You trusted heaven with your name. And now, heaven is rewarding you with a name that cannot be touched. Justice in the spirit doesn't always look loud. It often comes dressed in favor. It manifests through open doors. It flows through divine appointments. It is seen in unexpected promotions, in unlikely allies, in supernatural vindication. While they wait for you to fall, you will rise. While they talk in corners, you will walk through gates. While they build altars of mockery, God builds you a table in the presence of your enemies. And here's the truth that shifts everything. You never needed them to change. You only needed to remain faithful. You never needed them to approve. You only needed to stay aligned. And now, because you did, the reversal is yours. The exchange is complete. The transaction in heaven has triggered movement on earth. You are stepping into seasons that mockery can't touch. You are entering spaces where laughter turns to reverence. Let heaven finish the story. You do not owe explanations to jesters. You are a king's child. You are heaven's ambassador. You walk in spiritual royalty. You carry a mantle that cannot be mocked without consequence. You house an anointing that convicts without saying a word. And for every laugh, every whisper, every shade, they are now witnessing the fruit of your faith. This is justice, and it is gentle. This is reversal, and it is relentless. You didn't have to force it. You just had to walk it out. Let them talk. Let them watch. Let them wonder. Because while they are still laughing, you're still rising. While they are rehearsing the moment, you're stepping into miracles. If this word is confirmation to your situation and stirs your spirit, consider giving a super thanks with contributions of $5, $10, or even $20. Your support helps us continue bringing powerful, spirit-led content that reaches those in transition and triumph. Also, if you'd like to support what we do, you can make a difference by donating through the Support Here link in the description of this video. Every contribution helps us keep creating and sharing more with you. Subscribe now to stay connected to exclusive prophetic content, spiritual wisdom, and powerful words of divine alignment. Your journey is just beginning. Type "I walk in justice" in the comments if this word confirms your reversal. Blessing code 1717 now governs your gates. The joke was never a joke. It was a trigger. A holy one. A sacred disturbance. Not meant to destroy you, but to expose the atmosphere. Not meant to embarrass you, but to elevate your vision. Not meant to make you bitter, but to make you bold. And now that the smoke has cleared and the echoes have died down, heaven speaks clearly, authoritatively, and tenderly. You pass the test. In the silence of your soul, when no one else knew what was said behind that smile, you remained composed. When the shadows whispered behind your back, you prayed instead of panicking. When the temptation to confront roared in your spirit, you submitted to stillness. And now, all of heaven rises to say this: reward is released. Favor is following. Increase is inevitable. Archangel Michael stands before you, not with sword drawn, but with banner raised. The banner of victory. The seal of divine approval. The confirmation of identity. He speaks with fire and gentleness. You are sealed. You are sanctified. You are sovereignly chosen. Nothing spoken against you will prosper. Nothing laughed at you will limit you. Nothing formed to humiliate you will hinder you. You are not just walking away from the mockery, you are ascending from it. This final word is not a goodbye. It is a go forward. You are blessed. You are seen. You are not alone. Even when it felt like your discernment isolated you, heaven was always near. Even when your soul screamed for someone to validate your unease, heaven whispered, "We see it too." Even when no one acknowledged the pain of the joke, the heavens recorded it as warfare. And now, your reward begins. You are not rising because of their laughter. You are rising because of your lineage, because of the weight of your calling, because of the depth of your obedience. This moment is not about revenge. This is about release. You are stepping into places your name was already written in. You are becoming what God already ordained, and not one sarcastic word can block it. So lift your head. The season of questioning is closing. The chapter of wondering is ending. You don't have to ask anymore, "Was I wrong to feel that?" No. You were right, because heaven agrees. And heaven has already responded. Laugh last. Rise first. Let the final blessing rest on you now. May your heart remain guarded. May your tongue remain wise. May your feet walk only where heaven has tread. May your hands prosper in peace, not revenge. May your spirit soar, and may your destiny unfold, untouched by mockery, but ignited by grace. You are rising. It is done. It is settled. And it is sealed. Type "I am sealed" in the comments if this word completes your confirmation. Blessing code 2020 is now upon your destiny.